So let's talk about this issue of what microphones you want to get. Once again, it's not just, is it a good microphone? Wow, a Neumann, that's a fantastic microphone. Is it a fantastic microphone on stage with a floor wedge in a really loud band? Maybe not so much. Looking at other things that are out there, there's all sorts of microphones. There's ribbons, there's dynamics, there's condensers, there's hypercardioid, cardioid, blah, 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 blah. How do you know which one to get? It depends on where you're using it and what is the application. So if you're talking studio applications, sometimes it's matching it to the glasses that are falling off of your head. Sometimes it's matching it to the voice. You find certain mics like certain voices. Sometimes it's a matter of, unknown little things like vibration isolation. Some of the really good condensers pick up rumble through a mic stand like crazy, which means you gotta have a shock mount on them. And maybe a shock mount's not the best thing for someone who's going to try to grab the mic off and use it as a handheld at some point. So with microphones, the only advice I could give you is always get one, try it in your application, rent it, actually use it, where you're gonna use it, how you're gonna use it. Don't decide based on other people's recommendations, not on your equipment. One of the things I noticed when I was out doing sound, and we used to use a lot of different PAs, we used to use a lot of different microphones. Certain microphones did not sound good on certain loudspeakers, oddly enough, with the same artist. So you'd end up with a PA in a particular venue where you had to use their PA with the microphones you used to use with the artist you're working with, and it really sounded bad. One of the odd ones was I worked with an Electro-Voice PA once with Electro-Voice microphones, and it sounded horrible. And I was like, it's the same person singing. Why does this sound so raspy and nasty? So I changed them over to an SM58, and it's like, oh, it sounds good now. So you make a mental note. It's like, if I'm using this PA system, don't use these microphones. Weird things like that, those interactions which have to do with harmonics and phase and other things that go on in microphones and loudspeakers, and the voice or the, whatever the talent is you're picking up, the harmonica, the harpsichord, whatever it is. Some of these things just don't like each other.
I don't like you at all.
And that's where the only thing that matters is experience. So you can't count on, I'm going to buy this mic, and no matter where I go and who fills the rider for my event, it's going to sound great on their PA. Not necessarily. Feedback control with monitors. Some wedges have weird phase interactions between like the horn and the woofer, where you move an inch or two to the side, suddenly you're squealing, and it's not the microphone, it's the speaker interacting with the microphone. So sometimes, a coax monitor will work well with certain types of microphones, whereas a biamped split monitor, horn and woofer, or a triamped may or may not work with the same microphone happily relative to feedback control. I wish there was a simple solution where you could say, just look at the cut sheets and this will tell you everything, but the cut sheets tell you almost nothing about these problems. Can I mention manufacturers' names?
Say it!
Probably not. There was a manufacturer who developed a particular monitor that they thought was spectacular. The company I was working for at the time, they shipped us one to listen to, and we listened to it, and with program material, it sounded really good. You're playing back a CD through it. Then we got out a live microphone, and this thing, you could not get gain out of it without feedback, seemingly with anything. There was something weird about the way they processed this particular monitor. They took this monitor and they put it out on tour with a very large, well-known artist whose name I will not bring up because I don't want to get sued.
I don't want to go to jail. I'm fragile.
But anyway, it went out on the monitor. There was a big hoopla made by the manufacturer about this monitor is being used on this tour. It lasted one night. And this monitor was never used by that artist ever again. And oddly enough, that monitor went out of production and disappeared. It was completely gone. And it was an interesting technology. Admittedly, it had some superior advantages in certain respects, but don't use it with a live microphone. That's kind of a limiting factor for a monitor. So buyer beware, you gotta try stuff. And I can't tell you enough, rental houses, rent monitors, rent microphones, rent PAs. Check out what you're doing. If you're doing home studio, it's home studio. That's fine. Studio is the easy stuff, to be honest with you. Live sound is a lot more difficult. Studio engineers hate me. That's fine.
What did you say?
But you have the better environment. You can hear what you want. You can do what you want. No one's going to get yelled at because of feedback in a studio. But in the live sound environment, you really got to have experience with stuff. And then when something sounds funny, do I grab another microphone? Do I EQ my speakers? Do I move my microphone? What is it that's going to fix this problem? Do I put time delay on the input? That's the experience level you have to get successful results in live sound and to make the right decisions about what to buy, what to not buy, what kit do you want to carry around with you. That's all I got today.